Hey everybody, this is Jeff from GetZone.com. Welcome to another episode of Bullet Points. Glad to have you here. Today we're excited to talk to Matt Suggs. Matt is the new CEO of USA Shooting. Matt's got a great background. He spent 18 years shooting rifles competitively, where ultimately he became a member of the USA Olympic shooting team. So he really knows the industry. He knows the organization. Matt earned a degree in engineering from the University of South Florida. After that, he went to be commissioned as second lieutenant in the United States Army, spent time in the Army serving our country. And after that, Matt entered the business world in the tech sector, spent a lot of time in the tech sector, successfully working for a number of companies. And then like anything, it's a boomerang. It came back to USA Shooting this August, to become the CEO. He spent some time on the board prior to that, again, getting to know the organization from an executive level. He now resides in Colorado Springs, working with the organization there. So it doesn't know USA Shooting. We've had the fortune to spend some time with them over the last couple of years. Great organization. It's a nonprofit that prepares American athletes to win Olympic and Paralympic medals. They promote the sport of shooting sports throughout the United States. They also govern the conduct of international shooting in our country. USA Shooting, interestingly enough, also has one of the most decorated Olympic teams in the United States. So Matt, fascinating guy, fascinating organization. Again, if you don't know him, get to know them a little bit if you can. So with that, we're going to introduce Matt. Matt, welcome to the show. Welcome to Bullet Points. Glad to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, always good to see people, out and about in the industry. And I know you're new at USA Shooting, so I'd love to learn more about you and your background and what you've been doing and how you got to USA Shooting. But before we do that, let's just start with you as an individual a little bit. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and your background.
Yeah, so I've been a competitive shooter for most of my life. I started shooting at the age of 9 out in a club in outside of Eugene, Oregon, with my twin brother Will, and my dad got us into shooting through our local club. And I spent about 10 years on our national team from 1985 to 1996. Spent 6 years as a commissioned officer in the United States Army, and spent a few of those years at the Army Marksmanship Unit in Fort Benning. I was a combat engineer officer, and once I finished my time in the Army, I moved into a hiring program at a junior military officer hiring program at General Electric. I spent about 3 years at GE. Then I made a transition in my career over to enterprise software, and I worked for 3 companies in the enterprise software space over about a 20-year period. So that included a company called Ariba, which was bought by SAP a few years ago. I worked for Oracle, and then I jumped in with a few friends and started a company in Chicago called Mediafly, and spent 10 years there prior to joining USA Shooting. I got back involved with shooting through coaching, coaching my kids, and then coaching other juniors in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And then last year, I joined the board of directors in June of 2019 as an independent board member for USA Shooting, with the hopes of applying my business experience to the organization, and applying my passion for the sport in helping athletes achieve their dreams. So that slowly evolved into applying for the CEO position this past spring when it opened up, and I was fortunate enough to be selected by the board to help guide the organization over the next few years through the next 2 or 3 Olympic quads. So
well, good for you. That's quite a storied background you've got there. You've done a little bit of everything. I feel a little inadequate right now, but that's great stuff.
I kind of divide my life into 3 groups. Like there's the shooting time, the Army time, then I got into business, then now I'm back in shooting. So it's from full circle.
It's a boomerang. It just keeps coming back, right? You can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So you have a different perspective on USA Shooting than having been a shooter yourself, and given the background and all the time you've spent with the organization, which I assume played into them looking at you as, in your current role as running the organization. What was your take on it as you were coming up, and is, kind of the first third of your life in the shooting side of it? What's your take on USA shooting and what it does for shooters and how it works?
Yeah, so it spanned a time when the NRA was actually the national governing body for the shooting sports. And then towards the end of my career was when USA Shooting was formed, and the NRA stepped away from the international shooting sports. So I've got the background of having sat in the competitors' meetings when we decided that we would form USA Shooting. But I've also seen, there's been, with any new organization, you're going to have some fits and starts, and I've seen those as well. So I think the thing that's really changed from the time that I was an athlete is that the level of support that we provide our athletes today is far greater than what I received when I first made the national development team in 1983. I think they used to send us, we would have a couple training camps down in Fort Benning that would be 3 or 4 days, and then they would give us a case of ammo, and that was about it. I mean, they would pay for our international trips, but the number of trips was much smaller than it is today. And so the program has actually grown quite a bit, but there's so much more that we could be doing for our athletes, and that's what I'm focused on. We created a new strategic plan back in February when I was on the board of directors and I was on that committee. And it's really geared towards providing a greater level of support to not just our podium potential athletes, our high potential athletes, but also to those juniors and club level shooters that shoot for the enjoyment of the sport.
Interesting. Well, tell me a little bit about USA Shooting. I mean, you obviously have been in it for a long time. You get the organization. Yeah. I've had the fortune to get exposed to it over the last several years, but it seems to me that maybe the average person doesn't know about USA Shooting and what it does, how it operates, and really what it does for the athletes. Can you give us an overview of that?
Yeah. So USA Shooting is a national governing body, and so in the Olympic movement in the United States, all the sports are organized under national governing bodies, and this is a structure that was created starting back in the 1970s with the Amateur Sports Act, which has been revamped and updated a couple of times since then. So the job of the national governing body is to first is to manage and regulate the sport of in our case shooting, but there's a national governing body for swimming and gymnastics and track and field. So those organizations are responsible for setting rules, and also more importantly, for developing and picking teams for the Olympics, Pan American Games, World Championships, all the World Cups. So USA Shooting at its core is about really preparing people for international competition and growing the sports, growing the shooting sports, so that we have a great pipeline of young men and women, confident young men and women who can become top competitors in the future. And that's what USA Shooting is about. Some of the events that we're responsible for holding include our national championships, team selections. We also run the Junior Olympic national championships, and we're a sanctioning body for thousands of events across the United States.
Great, that's interesting. So tell me, obviously, the Olympics is the goal, given that it's USA Shooting and the Olympic team. The Olympics this year obviously had a big hiccup because of the virus. Tell me a little bit about the virus and how is it, impacted your business and the sport itself and the team.
Yeah, so I think in general, in the amateur sports arena, one of the big impacts, the biggest impact obviously is the cancellation and postponement of many events over the last year. So we were in kind of a unique position where we had finished most of our team selection, but I've still got the small bore rifle, the 50-meter rifle event, as well as our Paralympic team. Those team selections are only halfway completed. So first you've got only a portion of your team selected. We've canceled our national championships. We've canceled the Junior Olympics. We've postponed and canceled other events as a result of COVID. I think the one advantage in the shooting sports arena is that it's designated, it's been identified as a sport that's very safe for people to go out and participate in, even in the COVID timeframe. If you think about the ideas of social distancing, it's pretty easy to do that on a shooting range. And so what we're seeing now is that internationally, people are getting back on the firing line. We're starting to see competitions start up again. We're planning our competitions again. We actually sanctioned a number of events across North America or across the United States this year, and starting back in May. So there were still USA Shooting sanctioned events in May, June, July, and August. The challenge for USA Shooting in particular, when we start holding national championships in any event that includes a team selection, is that really everybody has to be able to participate in those events. We can't have a state that's locked down and unable to prepare for an event like our national championships or Junior Olympics, and so that's resulted in us canceling those. So really, financially, USA Shooting has been impacted like a lot of other national governing bodies, because we haven't had entry fees for those events. Our membership, a lot of our members renew on a annual basis. A lot of the kids renew when they go to their state Junior Olympic qualifier, and some of those events weren't held. So the top line for the organization's gone down a little bit in 2020, but our largest expense is actually sending athletes around the world to compete in World Cups, World Championships, and other events like the Olympics. And since all those events have been canceled, one of our biggest expenses for the year has also gone down dramatically. So it puts us in a pretty good financial situation going into the 2021 campaign for Tokyo, and we're hoping to pick the remainder of our team starting again in February, and give everybody adequate time to prepare to medal in the Tokyo Games.
Great. Who should we be looking out for? Who are the up and comers and the big ones?
Yeah, so obviously we've got some fantastic shooters on our Olympic team, including Vinnie Hancock is a two-time Olympic gold medalist, has won multiple world championships, he had 1 year where he won every World Cup. He's really the favorite in the men's skeet event. So he would be obviously one of the people to watch out for. On the rifle side of things, we've got an Olympic gold medalist, Ginny Thrasher, who is still in the process of going through her selection. Connor, who's a world champion. Danya Beasy, who's also won junior world championships and won World Cups. I mean, you're really going against 6 of the top 15 women in the world before you even leave the borders of the United States.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there for sure.
Yeah, and we've got great talent too on the pistol and para side. So we've got a bronze medalist from the Paralympic Games, McKenna, and McKenna Dahl. She's going to be an odds-on favorite, I think, to medal. And on the pistol side, we've got a former world #1, Keith Sanderson, shooting rapid-fire pistol. So it's a pretty strong team, but we've also got a lot of youth on the team. And I think it's important to remember that youth oftentimes brings some great performances as well. If even looking back at Ginny Thrasher's performance in Rio, where she won the first medal for the U.S. team there, and it was a gold medal in women's air rifle.
Yeah. Well, we got some time to spend with McKenna Dahl. A couple of years ago, we did a video series and interviewed her, and we spent half a day with her, and she was fantastic. So we also get out to the training center and spend some time with the athletes. And, I'm amazed. I don't know what the perspective is from somebody sitting at home on what a USA Olympic shooting athlete is, but I'll tell you, a lot of them are in the weight room working hard. They're at the range all the time. I mean, it's a commitment, and it's not something you can do once a week and expect to be really good at it. So they work hard.
Yeah. Our shooters right now here at the Olympic Training Center, we've had we got our athletes back here starting at the end of July. The Olympic and Paralympic Training Center was closed down for several months due to COVID. And we're already seeing world-class scores come out of those shooters like McKenna and Jenny, and also one of our Air Force WCAP athletes, Anna Weilbacher. She shot some great scores in the last couple of weeks. So, we've got a lot of optimism going into Tokyo, and those shooters, they'll get done on the range. They'll come in and shoot. They were actually shooting over the holiday weekend on Saturday and Monday of Labor Day weekend, but then they'll go straight from the range over to the gym and get their weight training in. And we're doing that with our pistol team too, with like Sandra Updegraft is one of our most experienced pistol shooters, and she's moved out here for her Olympic campaign, and we put her through an arduous weight training regimen to build her up for Tokyo.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of fun, working hard. I like to see it. We talked briefly before we jumped on here about Hillsdale College, and I know they're a partner of both of ours and what we're up to. So we'll learn more about Hillsdale if people aren't aware of it at a later date. But can you talk a little bit about what you guys are up to with Hillsdale and how the tie-in with USA Shooting comes about?
Yeah, so we're building we've built a new relationship with Hillsdale over the last about 14, 15 months. And Hillsdale is a huge proponent not only of the shooting sports, but also obviously the Second Amendment and in our constitutional rights. And so what Hillsdale is doing with us is we're building out a program with them around a world-class facility that they've already begun construction on at Hillsdale College. And it's starting with the shotgun range. They put in the best international trap bunker in the United States. They built last year. It's a gorgeous bunker, and it's one of a set of bunkers that they're going to put in for the international trap game. They're also building out some skeet fields. So we'll be able to take our national team there and train. We have an objective to invite a few of our international competitive teams, like potentially France and Australia, to come in and train with the U.S. team next year. And then we're also kind of restarting the junior development camp program, similar to what I went through when I was a junior. And our objective there is to provide these junior athletes with a short, very intensive camp that gives them a step function improvement in their performance level. And we think that's a key to developing athletes for the future. Right. And what Hillsdale is doing is providing us with the world-class facilities, as well as space in their dormitories when they're out of session, and a number of other support services that make those types of events possible. That really takes a lot of burden off of USA Shooting when you've got a great partner like Hillsdale College.
Yeah, they are a fantastic facility, big supporter of the Second Amendment, obviously. So, yeah. Again, more to learn about them and what you guys are up to. But, well, Matt, go ahead.
I was just going to say a big shout out to Dr. Arn, who's the president of the college. He self-identifies as the best non-shooter on the trap bunker. So right. The best of those that don't shoot shotgun on a regular basis. And it's just great to see him out on the range shooting with their team. They've got a college team there, as well as with our Olympians. And we ran 2 camps up there for our skeet and trap team this summer.
Yeah, quite a facility and quite a board and an organization executive team. So more to come on them. But Matt, I know you're a month plus into the job. I'm sure you have a lot going on. We appreciate you spending some time with us here on Bullet Points and across GetZone and our network. We appreciate the support that you guys give us, and we're always here to help you guys as well. Big believers in USA Shooting, obviously, and all the athletes that go through your doors. So keep up the great work. Best of luck in the new job, and reach out if you need anything from us.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, Matt, take care.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.